Hi guys, this is Dr. Ahmet Ergin. I'm an endocrinologist, diabetologist, and a metabolism expert. Today we are talking about why am I always hungry? Alright, so I get this question all the time. It may not be you, but it's still better to listen to it to have good knowledge because it may happen to you at some point. And you can also advise family and friends. Remember to share this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, and make sure you write some comments. Let's get started. Okay, so guys, some of us are always hungry, right? So we sometimes tell this to other people, sometimes we don't, sometimes we are ashamed of it, etc. So the reason we are always hungry depends on a few factors. Now, when you're growing, when you're a teenager, you're always hungry maybe because you are growing, you are making bone, you're making muscle, etc., etc. So your body really needs that. But after a while, we go through this transition, we become an adult and become more sedentary, we get a job, desk job, etc. And we just continue to eat what we have been eating as a teenager when we were growing. Now, when you are not growing vertically anymore, you're going to start growing horizontally. Well, that happens, there are a lot of hormonal changes that happens in your body. Let's look into that. So number one is basically for diabetics. If you're having a lot of low blood sugars due to medications, you will be hungry all the time. And that's a common problem. When people come to me and they say they have diabetes, they want to lose weight, but they're on the wrong medications to begin with. They're on insulin or excessive insulin, or they are on a sulfonylurea such as glipizide, glimepiride, glyburide, etc. So if you're on these medications and your blood sugars are frequently dipping down, then you may want to consider an alternative medication. I want you to discuss this with your doctor today or tomorrow. All right, number two, you may be eating very little protein in your diet. Now, if you are eating protein, and I'm going to include that fat as well, more protein and more fat will actually stimulate the hormones that reduces your appetite and will induce hormones that will prolong the satiety. In addition to that, fat in your diet will be absorbed much slowly compared to carbohydrates. As a result, you will keep that food longer in your stomach versus carbohydrates, especially simple carbohydrates, are going to spike in your blood and they're going to be absorbed very quickly. So I always tell my patients, I'm not 100% banning you from carbohydrates, and you're a human being. Occasionally, if you do have a carbohydrate-heavy food, do not just indulge in carbohydrates. You need to make sure there is some fat in there, because that fat and protein will not only make you feel full or faster, but also will prevent the blood sugar spikes that are about to happen. Now, that brings us to the third one, which is, if your blood sugar is spiking too fast, too quick from these carbohydrates, it induces insulin. And insulin will try to bring your blood sugar down. The carbohydrates are absorbed quickly. Now you're left with insulin. It's not uncommon, even in non-diabetic patients, we call this reactive hypoglycemia or reactive low blood sugars. They end up eating carbs, their blood sugar spike, and then insulin goes up, and then blood sugar goes down, but insulin is still up there. Well, then, of course, the glucose keeps going down, and that triggers the hunger. So that's number three. Number four, if you're not sleeping enough, that is a problem. And there are multiple reasons for that. So if you're not sleeping enough, your body will produce a hunger hormone, which is called ghrelin, and that hormone will definitely make you hungrier. So you can realize that if you had a short night, where you had to do things, you went to bed late and woke up early, and you may be very hungry. So people who do that chronically all the time, they typically have bigger appetites, and in addition to that, your body becomes more insulin resistant when you do not have enough sleep. And again, as we all know, insulin resistance is one of the biggest reasons of feeling hungry all the time, because excessive insulin in your body constantly tries to drag your blood sugar down. and then that definitely causes excessive hunger. Number 5 is the fiber. If you're not having enough fiber in your diet, especially refined carbs, right? They're ripped off their fiber. We had a video about rice, for example. White rice is so much worse than a brown rice or even black rice, is because their fiber is totally ripped off, and it makes things taste a little better. Same thing for the bread. Whole grain bread, if you're just eating white bread all your life, whole grain is not going to taste as good, but definitely is way healthier. And once you're used to the whole grain bread, it's really no difference than a white bread, because you forget about the white bread. But bottom line is, fiber will allow things to be absorbed a lot slower. As a result, it will keep your blood sugar level better maintained, and that will lead to less hunger in the long term. And you know what the high fiber foods are? We discussed about that before. There's a lot of vegetables and fruits. You have to be careful with your fruits, because not every fruit is very high in fiber, or they're high in fiber, they're also very high in sugar. So you have to be moderate when it comes to eating high carbohydrate foods that are, high in fiber. But the higher the fiber, the better, because you can subtract the fiber from your net carbs, from your total carbs, and that definitely helps you in the absorption process and the blood sugar spike process. Number 6 is, you may not be drinking enough water. So a good trick for you guys, if you drink, especially a hot water, could be a tea or something else, or even just a regular water, it will definitely fill your stomach. And when your stomach is distended, it gives your body the fullness signal, right? So as a result, if you're drinking a good cup of water before meals, that will definitely help your satiety. But also, sometimes if you're too busy and you forget to drink water, just like me, I keep seeing patients back to back, and I have no time to drink or go to the restroom. I'm like, hey, I have to think about it. I'm like, I got to drink water. And it's interesting that people can mistake the hunger and thirst, and when they're thirsty, they may end up eating food, which makes them more thirsty. So as a result, reminding yourself to drink water. I'm not saying to drown yourself and drink like 2 gallons of water a day, but there are a lot of people who literally don't drink water at all. They will just drink coffee in the morning, and they will not drink anything entire day. Not healthy. So you need to make sure that you're having at least an 8 ounce of water or fluids every 4 to 5 hours. Number 7, well, this is kind of obvious, but if you are an athletic person, you exercise a lot, of course you're going to get hungry, because that's basically what causes the energy expenditure, and your body will need to replace that. It happens to me all the time. I'm on my workout days, when I train heavily, then I will definitely be way hungrier. On those days, my whey protein helps me a lot, because that protein definitely, helps me to stay fuller longer. Having said that, it's interesting that, for example, if you are having a whey protein in a solid form, or if you're having actually real meat, that tends to keep you fuller longer. So when you're drinking in a smoothie or on a liquid form, you don't feel like you're as full, or you get hungrier faster, because your body will be able to process liquid way faster. So it's going to go through your intestinal system way faster than a solid food. So whenever you can, try to stick with the solid foods, especially if you're exercising a lot, you get hungry a lot after that. Having a real, like some chicken or some even dairy will help. For example, yogurt is my to-go. High-fat yogurt is perfectly fine, because as we said, the fat will definitely help you keep your satiety high and hunger low in the long term, in the next few hours. And it's a solid food, it's satisfying. If you don't like yogurt, you can always find other things that are similar that can help you stay full. Avocado is a great fat, for example. Olive oil is a great fat. So if you're eating a turkey sandwich, for example, putting some avocado on it will definitely help you to stay full longer. Now, the last thing is alcohol that I'm going to talk about. If you drink a lot of alcohol, unfortunately, alcohol is almost like a stimulator of appetite. So people who drink alcohol tend to eat more. In addition to that, alcohol can suppress glucose production. So after a night of drinking, for example, you may wake up in the morning, you may be like starving. And that's because alcohol blocks your liver to produce the glucose that your body needs to, keep a good glucose level. So instead of waking up with a blood sugar of 90, you may end up waking up blood sugar of 70, and that can trigger a severe hunger reaction. So make sure you stay away from the alcohol. If you are not going to, at least keep it to 1 and maximum 2 drinks a day. So I hope this helps, guys. Remember to give a like, share, comment, and we'll see you in the next video.